All right, so today we're going to be diving deep into a movie that I think a lot of people have really fond memories of.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about X2, X-Men United,
X2.
which is, it's pretty consistently considered to be one of the,
Yeah.
best superhero movies.
Absolutely. One of the best sequels for sure.
A great sequel.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be using a bunch of different reviews from a bunch of different perspectives on this.
Yeah.
As well as some information from IMDb, behind the scenes trivia, things like that.
Good stuff.
And really our goal here is to try to figure out why this movie is so beloved.
Right.
Why is it often considered to be better than the original X-Men?
Yeah.
And also just to kind of highlight some of the interesting things that you might not have noticed.
The details.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's really interesting to me that so many of the reviews that I was looking at
Right.
considered this movie to be so much better than the original.
A step up.
Like it was a big step up.
It's consistently described that way. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like it wasn't just a good sequel. It was a huge leap forward.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you see that a lot in the reviews, that it wasn't just, oh, it was a good sequel. No, no, no. This was a major improvement.
It's like they really upped their game.
Like, what did they do right?
Yeah. What did they change?
Yeah.
And, people talk about the action being better.
Way better.
The characters being more developed.
Well, for the most part.
For the most part.
We'll get into that.
Not everyone gets their fair shake. But
yeah, but overall, right.
Yeah, overall.
And the plot being a lot more intricate. I saw it described as a comic book genre masterpiece.
Ooh. Ooh.
Like, that's pretty
praise.
high praise.
Right.
So yeah, it's considered to be like a really big deal.
Yeah, and I think, thinking about it, the first X-Men movie had a huge job to do.
Yeah.
It had to introduce this whole world of mutants and powers and explain it all.
Yeah.
You've got this big cast of characters. So much to juggle.
Yeah, and this movie kind of had the luxury of
building on that.
Building on that, yeah, and kind of being able to just jump right in.
Yeah, assuming the audience is already kind of on board with the basic idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so maybe that gave them the freedom to do more with it.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think the way that they set up the central conflict in this movie is so good.
Yeah.
Like right away we get this assassination attempt on the president by Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler busting into the Oval Office. Come on. It's like
so good, so great.
Such a good opening scene.
And it's such a great way to just like immediately raise the stakes.
Absolutely. It just throws everything into chaos. And, then you get William Stryker coming in. Right. Who is this whole other threat?
Yeah.
And then the X-Men have to team up with Magneto.
Yeah.
Like,
it's crazy.
Such a cool dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of that opening scene with Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
I mean, so many of the reviews called that out as being like a phenomenal scene.
Oh, yeah.
Just in terms of the action and how visually interesting it is.
Stunning, yeah.
Like the
way they film it, too, it really captures his powers. Like the surprise and like the, I don't even know how to describe it, but they do such a good job with the camera work there.
Yeah. I saw one review that said it was spine-tingling good.
Oh, yeah, I believe it.
And Nightcrawler as a character,
yeah,
Alan Cumming.
Oh,
like
such a good casting.
So well received. I mean, people really loved.
People loved him. Yeah.
In this movie.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too because right away
you have a mutant attacking
the president, a human authority figure.
Like right away, that kind of makes you question.
Right away, you're like, wait a minute.
Like, who's the bad guy here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are the mutants really the threat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought this was interesting. Originally, they had planned for that opening scene to be a fight between Nightcrawler and Toad.
What?
Remember Toad from the first one?
Oh, yeah, from the first movie. I totally forgot about Toad.
Yeah. But apparently scheduling conflicts got in the way of that.
Right.
So they went with Nightcrawler versus the Secret Service instead.
I mean, can you imagine how different that would have been?
Yeah.
I mean, Toad is totally
like
different.
Kind of goofy.
Yeah.
Like
it wouldn't have had the same visual impact.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
So, and I think it really leaned into, what X2 does so well is just the visual spectacle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So much more than the first film.
Yeah. So let's talk about the villain in this movie.
Okay.
William Stryker.
Yeah.
Played by Brian Cox.
Brian Cox, who I love.
Oh, he's great.
Always a good villain.
And
yeah.
He's so good in this.
He's so good.
Like, he is a...
Yes.
He's really nasty.
Yeah, he's just a nasty dude.
And, like, so driven and ruthless.
Yeah.
Like, he's a military guy.
Right.
And he just has this, like, deep-seated hatred for mutants.
Yeah.
And you find out why later, but
Yeah.
he's got a real personal vendetta against them.
Right.
He's not just like a...
Yeah, he's not twirling his mustache, you know?
Yeah, he's got real reasons for what he's doing.
Right.
And the whole plot really hinges on his plan to use Cerebro
to wipe them all out.
To basically wipe out all the mutants. And it's that threat that really forces the X-Men and Magneto to team up.
Yeah, they have no choice.
Yeah.
Right.
And one of the reviews that I saw pointed out that Stryker's whole, like, fear-mongering and his prejudice against mutants could be seen as a kind of like a
metaphor.
A metaphor for real-world intolerance.
Right.
So, you know, obviously we're just reporting what the review said. We're not taking a side or anything.
Yeah.
But it's interesting.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting to see.
Because it's true.
Yeah.
That's how these stories resonate, I think, is that you can kind of connect them to things going on in the real world.
Yeah, and Stryker as a villain is so different from Magneto.
Oh, totally.
From the first one.
Yeah.
You know.
Totally different motivations.
Yeah.
Yeah, Magneto's all about, you know, mutants being superior.
Yeah.
And humans are a threat.
Yeah.
Stryker is just driven by fear.
Yeah.
Pure fear.
Of the unknown.
Yeah. So going back to some of the characters that we know and love, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is still very much front and center in this movie.
Absolutely.
And all the reviews that I read said he was like the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
He's super charismatic. Yeah. He's super compelling.
Yeah.
And this movie actually goes a lot deeper into his backstory.
Yeah, we learn a lot more about Wolverine in this film.
Yeah, like we get more about the adamantium skeleton and the amnesia and how that ties back to Stryker.
Right.
One review said that Wolverine, beautifully essayed by the charismatic Jackman, is the core character thread.
It's true.
Like, he is the core of this movie.
I think what's so interesting about Wolverine is he's kind of like the audience surrogate.
Yeah.
You know, he's trying to figure out his past.
Yeah.
And as he's doing that, we are too.
You know, we're learning about the history of the mutants and all of that.
Yeah.
And, you know, that connection to Stryker just makes it so much more personal.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have Patrick Stewart.
Professor X.
As Professor X.
Yeah.
Who remains a really important figure in this movie.
Right.
He gets kidnapped.
Oh, yeah.
And they're trying to use his powers to commit genocide.
Terrifying.
It's pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
But a couple of reviews that I read pointed out that he actually has less screen time in this one.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of interesting.
Well, I mean, it makes sense, right? You've got all these new characters. The story's bigger. There's only so much time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's interesting that it's noticeable that he's not in it quite as much.
Yeah. And then we've got Ian McKellen as Magneto.
Yeah.
And
this is where it gets good.
He ends up teaming up
an uneasy alliance
with the X-Men.
Yeah.
Which is so cool.
I know.
And you know, that really lets them explore the relationship between him and Professor X.
Oh, such a cool dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His escape from that plastic prison.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a really memorable scene.
I know.
One review said that he was, well, magnetic as Magneto.
Corny. I know, but
it's true though.
It's true. He's so good.
Yeah, he's so good in this.
Yeah.
And that whole alliance between them is so interesting because
because they hate each other.
Yeah, they hate each other.
But they have to work together.
Yeah.
It's great.
And like, do they ever really trust each other?
Could they ever see eye to eye? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Halle Berry as Storm.
Yeah.
Has a bigger role in this one.
Yeah, she gets to do more.
Yeah. And she's definitely presented as a really powerful mutant.
Yeah.
But one of the reviews I read just said that she looks bored.
Oh, wow.
It was like a one-sentence review.
Really?
Yeah. It was crazy.
Because, like, she looks bored.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it's just funny how, like,
I know.
different people can have such different takes.
Totally different interpretations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Famke Janssen as Jean Grey.
Jean Grey.
Jean Grey, yeah.
Yeah.
Her powers are definitely like evolving in this movie.
Yeah.
You can tell they're becoming harder for her to control.
Right.
And this is obviously like setting up the whole Phoenix thing.
The Phoenix saga.
That happens later.
Yeah.
She apparently sacrifices herself at the end.
Right.
But a lot of reviewers pointed out that because she comes back in later movies.
It undercuts it a little bit.
It kind of undercuts the impact.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the reviews that I read just made me laugh.
Yeah.
They were talking about Jean Grey's hair.
Her hair.
And how it's like
always changing.
Constantly changing color.
Yeah.
And they were like, someone needs to create a website dedicated to film hair technicians.
I mean...
Because it's like...
It's a whole art form.
It's its own thing.
It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
James Marsden as Cyclops, unfortunately, kind of gets sidelined in this movie.
Yeah, he doesn't get a lot to do.
He doesn't do much.
Yeah.
He spends a lot of time captured.
Right.
And multiple reviews kind of called that out as being a bit of a bummer.
Yeah, it's too bad.
And there was apparently a deleted scene where he's fighting Lady Deathstrike with nightsticks.
Oh, that's cool.
Which would have been cool to see.
I would have liked to have seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's one of those things with these ensemble movies.
Right.
You can't give everyone...
Yeah, you can't give everyone a big moment.
A huge role.
Yeah. Someone's always going to feel a little shortchanged.
Yeah. Anna Paquin's Rogue also has kind of a subplot in this about her powers.
Yeah.
And her inability to touch people.
Right.
But
it doesn't really go anywhere.
A lot of reviewers said that it didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
Like it just kind of felt like...
Kind of a dead end.
A dead end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
And it kind of takes her out of the main action.
Yeah. It's hard when you're juggling so many characters.
Yeah.
To make sure everyone feels important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Shawn Ashmore.
Weissman.
As Iceman.
Yeah.
Who's kind of a newer, younger mutant.
Right.
There's a scene where he's like coming out as mutant to his parents.
To his family.
Yeah. And one of the reviewers pointed out that that's kind of like a parallel to a teenager coming out as gay.
Totally. Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, it is.
But at the same time, another reviewer said that he doesn't really have a huge impact on the story.
It's like he's not quite there yet.
Kind of a mixed bag for Iceman.
Yeah, he's not quite fleshed out yet, but you can see where they might go with him in later movies.
Yeah. Rebecca Romijn Stamos as Mystique has a really crucial role in this one.
She does.
She helps Magneto escape.
Yeah.
She infiltrates Stryker's base.
Yeah, she's all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a cool bit of trivia here is that her yellow eyes in this movie were all CGI.
Oh, wow.
In the first one, she was wearing contacts.
Oh, right.
Which apparently was really uncomfortable.
I bet.
So, technology
came to the rescue.
Came to the rescue, yeah.
Looks way better, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we get introduced to some new, younger mutants in this one, too. Like
Pyro.
Pyrogan, the Aaron Stanford. Yep. One review said that it felt like they were pandering to like a
younger audience.
Younger teenage audience.
Yeah.
By including him.
Right. I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
Gotta keep the franchise fresh.
Yeah.
Bring in some new blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But another review mentioned that there's a scene where he
goes off.
Goes berserk.
Yeah.
So I guess he made some kind of impact.
He made an impression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is interesting, that they're bringing in all these younger mutants.
Right.
And,
it kind of expands the world a little bit.
Yeah. It expands the scope.
You see different levels of experience. Like, the older mutants are kind of jaded and these younger ones are just figuring it all out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the action in the special effects.
Right.
Because, I mean, that's a big
part of these movies.
Yeah. And overall, the reviews were really positive about that.
They were.
Like they said, the action was way more exciting.
Way better than the first one.
Than in the first one.
Yeah. They really upped their game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The scene where they attack the X-Mansion.
Oh, yeah.
Is like really intense.
That was a good one.
And the special effects for all the powers
Yeah.
are so much better.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're described as brilliant and fantastic.
It makes sense, though, right? I mean, the technology was getting so much better.
Yeah.
Even just in those few years between the two movies.
Yeah.
You know, the CGI was just getting so much more advanced. You could do so much more.
Yeah, and thinking about the special effects, like, they redesigned the Blackbird jet for this movie.
It was bigger.
It's bigger. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the set that they built for Stryker's lair was massive.
I read about that.
Like, it was the largest indoor film set
Wow.
in North America at the time.
Really?
Yeah, they built it in a Sears warehouse.
Wow.
They used over 60 miles of cable
What?
for the whole thing.
It's crazy.
And it was so big that the crew had to use bicycles
Oh, my gosh.
to get around.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a commitment to the craft right there.
Yeah, they really went all out.
They really went all out.
And thematically, this movie's still really dealing with those same important issues.
Yeah.
You know, tolerance, acceptance, prejudice.
Prejudice against those who are different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The relationship between humans and mutants.
Yeah. That's always at the core of X-Men.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a great metaphor
Yeah.
for the real world.
Yeah.
You know, fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the plot itself is really interesting. It's got a lot of twists and turns.
Yeah.
Keeps you guessing.
Keeps you guessing, yeah.
And that alliance
Yeah.
is so key.
Yeah.
Because it forces these characters to work together
Yeah.
and to have these conversations
Yeah.
about their different philosophies.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. One review pointed out that the movie mentions evolution as a fact,
Right.
but then it also includes
Right.
a Christian character
Yeah.
who is portrayed very positively.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're
Yeah, it's not like a one-sided thing.
taken aside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more nuanced than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just black and white.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Bryan Singer
The director.
came back to direct this one.
Yeah, he did the first one too.
Yeah. And a lot of reviewers were really happy about that.
Yeah.
They said that
It definitely shows.
his vision really elevated the movie.
Yeah.
And he even has a cameo
Oh, yeah.
as a
security guard.
security guard.
Yeah.
Classic.
Which is fun.
Yeah, I love when directors do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The writing team on this movie was
Yeah.
pretty big.
How many?
There were 5 credited writers.
5. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
That's a lot of voices.
then one review kind of joked that
Yeah.
maybe that's why some of the subplots felt a little
Yeah, maybe too many cooks in the kitchen.
yeah, too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And then just a couple more fun facts before we wrap up.
Okay.
Hugh Jackman actually trained with the same person who trained Angelina Jolie
Oh, wow.
for Lara Croft, Tomb Raider.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So he was in good hands.
Wolverine was in good hands.
Yeah.
That foamy beer that you see in the bar scene was all fake.
Really?
Yeah. Because they didn't want to have to deal with
Continuity.
like the helmet disappearing and all that.
Yeah.
And if you're a fan of the X-Men Evolution cartoon,
Okay.
2 of the voice actors
Really?
from that show
Oh.
have cameos in this movie.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's all in the details, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing how much goes into making a movie like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's pretty clear why
Yeah.
X2 is so beloved.
Yeah.
It took everything from the first movie
Right.
and just like
Made it bigger.
made it bigger and better.
Better.
Yeah. The action's bigger,
Yeah.
the scope is bigger,
Yeah.
the characters are more developed for the most part. And that story, that alliance is just so compelling.
Yeah. And that whole idea of like
Right.
human fear and prejudice,
Yeah.
forcing the mutants to work together. It's
Yeah.
just like
It's so relevant.
really powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess like the big question to leave you with is
Right.
how does this movie's exploration of that theme,
Right.
fear and prejudice,
Yeah.
resonate with you?
Yeah. And what parallels do you see
Right.
to the world today?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think
Yeah.
that's what makes the X-Men so enduring.
Yeah.
Is that you can always find those parallels.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I think it's interesting, too, how they include that Christian character
Right.
and portray him positively.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like
Which are just
expert
really
speaker.